Really want to talk about Sean O'Malley versus Merab Dvalishvili. I know that this fight is still a couple weeks away, and it might be a little bit early for me to post a breakdown for O'Malley versus Merab, but I don't know if I'm going to have the opportunity to properly break down this fight before it happens. So I've decided to just make this video, put it out there. Like I said, I know it's a little bit early, but UFC 305 really reignited my love for this company. I mean, we had so many bangers. Ling Jing Liang versus Carlos Patez, Dricus Duplessis versus Israel Adesanya. I mean, Kai Kara France knocking out Steve Erceg. Dan Hooker versus Mateus Gamrot was a great fight. I really did love the card, and it truly did reignite my love for the UFC, and I'm so excited for the upcoming cards. I mean, Brady versus Burns, a great fight night. Then we have Noche UFC. Then we have UFC Paris. Then we have UFC 307, which I don't really like the main event between Alex Pereira and Khalil Roundtree, but the rest of the card is actually pretty solid. I'm excited for Topuria versus Holloway. I'm excited for Anthony Hernandez versus Michel Pereira. Like, that's a great fight right there. And I feel like the next upcoming cards are really going to save the UFC. And not save the UFC, but I think reignite that love that we have for this company. Because I got to be honest, I mean, prior to UFC 305, I just felt like the cards were pretty lackluster. Like, they weren't truly living up to the hype. But I feel like these upcoming cards are going to do just that. And like I said, UFC 305 really did reignite my love for the UFC again. And I wish I would have been able to talk about it a little bit more about UFC 305, but because, it was already late, I had a flight the next day, I wasn't really able to fully talk about that card in that video. I mainly just talked about Dricus Duplessis versus Israel Adesanya, but now it is time for me to talk about Sean O'Malley versus Merab Dvalishvili, and I feel like this fight isn't getting the love that it deserves. I love this fight. This is my second most anticipated fight for the rest of the year. And the reason why I love it so much is because it feels like a true championship fight. Like, it feels like two guys that deserve to be champion, that have a great resume, that have looked absolutely phenomenal. I mean, Merab Dvalishvili has been running through guys like Henry Cejudo, Jose Aldo, Peter Yan. Like, these are great, incredible wins in the bantamweight division. And then Sean O'Malley, arguably the best striker in the UFC, put an absolute clinic on Marlon Vera, beat Aljamain Sterling, who at the time a lot of people considered the bantamweight GOAT. Like, both of these guys are true championship material, and that's what really excites me about this fight. Now, I see a lot of people downplaying this fight because of the style of the fight, right? Merab Dvalishvili is a grappler, great cardio, lots of pressure in your face, very physical. Sean O'Malley, on the other hand, is a great striker, great kickboxer, good footwork, a lot of power, has a lot of speed. So I feel like people are only really breaking down this fight in two ways. Either you believe that Merab is going to beat O'Malley by a decision, or you think O'Malley is going to knock out Merab. Now, if you guys have been watching my channel for any time now, you know that I'm one of those people that said back in March, after Sean O'Malley beat Marlon Vera, that I believed that Sean O'Malley was going to knock out Merab. I even put my channel on the line, if you guys don't remember. I hope most of you guys have forgotten by now. But I do think Sean O'Malley is going to knock out Merab. However, like I said, I do feel like there's some misconceptions about this fight. Look, Merab, he's a great grappler. He's very good at his takedowns, at getting those takedowns. He's very physically imposing. Even though he looks like a small bantamweight, he's very strong. He's very physical. He's big. He's really strong. Like, that's one of his main attributes, his physicality and his cardio. However, like I said, I've seen a lot of people say that if Merab takes Sean O'Malley down to the mat, that it's basically over for Sean O'Malley, and I could not disagree more, guys. Merab doesn't have a lot of submissions in the UFC. I don't actually believe he has any submissions in the UFC, if I'm not mistaken. And then on the ground, like, he's not really finishing guys. So I feel like this is one of those fights that's just super dangerous for Merab. Like, I feel like the way that Merab wins is by taking down O'Malley and maybe stealing some of the rounds and maybe winning a decision. But even if he wins a decision, it's going to be a very competitive decision. Like, I don't see it being a 50-45 Merab Dvalishvili. It's going to be like more like Merab only wins 3 rounds and maybe Sean O'Malley wins 2. And arguably, it could be kind of competitive, right? Because right now, judges, the UFC, they score based on damage. So even if Sean O'Malley let's say, lands some more significant strikes and then gets taken down in the last 2 minutes of a round, who do you think they're going to give the round to? They're going to give it to Sean O'Malley. So that's the main reason why I believe Sean O'Malley is going to win this fight. Like I said, a lot of people are saying that the only way Sean O'Malley can win this fight is by a knockout, and I actually disagree. I think O'Malley can win by a decision. I think obviously he could win by a knockout as well, early in the fight, later in the fight, because Sean O'Malley has insane power, has insane footwork, and Merab is gonna struggle in this fight. He's really gonna struggle in this fight because in the range with the footwork, it's going to be very hard to take down someone like Sean O'Malley consistently and not get cracked in the face. Like, that's going to be the difficult part here for Merab. But I do believe that a Merab is able to weather the storm and really break down Sean O'Malley. The way he beats O'Malley is not with the grappling necessarily, but more with the cardio. Like, Merab's biggest weapon is his cardio. And if he's able to get Sean O'Malley tired in this fight and really like break him down, I think that's how Merab beats him. I don't think he'd submit Sean O'Malley. I don't think he knocks him out on the feet or anything like that. I don't think, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think it's going to be, like, I think Aljamain Sterling is a more dangerous matchup for Sean O'Malley than Merab. And that's something that O'Malley has been saying leading up to this fight. And I completely agree with him that Aljamain Sterling is a little bit more dangerous on the ground. He's more of a backpack. And if you rewatch Merab's fights, even against Peter Yan, yeah, he took him down a bunch of times, but he wasn't really able to control Peter Yan for a significant part of that fight. Same in his fight against Jose Aldo, basically was just stalling Jose Aldo up against the fence. In his fight against Henry Cejudo, he had a little bit more of control time, but the moments where Merab had success against Henry Cejudo was when Henry Cejudo started to fatigue and get tired in that fight. Before that, when Henry Cejudo had energy, he was actually having a lot of success against Merab. But once Henry Cejudo, just had a big energy dump, the tide of the fight just changed completely. So I think that's the biggest weapon that Merab has against Sean O'Malley. Unfortunately for Merab, I do think Sean O'Malley is going to win this fight. I just think the footwork, the range, the power, the speed, the fact that Sean O'Malley can fight from the back foot and just wait for Merab to come to him and then land that counter strike, the footwork, the knees, the feints, I just feel like that's really going to overstimulate Merab in this fight, and I just don't know how Merab is going to be able to close the distance. And even if he's able to close the distance and maybe takes down O'Malley, like, he's going to have to do that for a couple rounds for him to really break down Sean O'Malley. Because let's say he does that in the first round, right? He takes down Sean O'Malley. Like, Sean O'Malley is still very live in the rounds after that to knock out Merab. That's the problem in this fight, that Merab doesn't really have like a finishing threat against O'Malley, while O'Malley has a big finishing threat in this fight. And like I said, I love this fight. I think this fight isn't getting the love that it truly deserves. I think both of these guys are championship material. And I love fights like this, right? Because they just prove that fights like Alex Pereira versus Khalil Roundtree don't belong. Even Duplessis versus Adesanya, like, Adesanya didn't really deserve that title shot against Dricus Duplessis. And it was a competitive, fun fight, but I'd rather have fights that truly feel like a true championship fight, and that's why this fight feels that way. And I absolutely love this fight. Like I said, I think Sean O'Malley is the best striker in the UFC. I think he's one of the most entertaining fighters inside the cage. And then Merab Dvalishvili, he has a great personality outside the cage. I think his fighting style, even though it's annoying, it is a little bit entertaining seeing how he breaks down his opponents. But man, I love this fight so much. And like I said, I just think the misconception that, O'Malley's going to struggle with the grappling and that, if he gets taken down, it's basically over, and that Sean O'Malley just has to knock him out early, or if not, he loses. I don't necessarily agree with that. Like I said, I think Sean O'Malley could win on points just based on damage. And Merab, Merab could only win by a decision. I really don't see him knocking out O'Malley. I don't see him getting a submission. Maybe by ground and pound if Sean O'Malley's like super, super tired and just beats him that way. But the way Merab wins is basically just humiliation decision, right? Picking up Sean O'Malley, battering him on the ground, controlling him, not letting him do anything, basically making it kind of a snoozy of a fight. While O'Malley here, I think all the advantages are basically on his side. The footwork, the fact that he's not a stationary target, that he's always moving around the cage. And when somebody's always moving around the cage, it's kind of harder to get a hold of him. And I think Merab is really going to struggle with that range. So I'm going to go with Sean O'Malley to win by a knockout. I could see him winning by a decision, But like I said, I do believe that Sean O'Malley is gonna win this fight, and I'm not just saying that because people have been saying that recently. I've been saying this back in March. I just think Sean O'Malley right now, he's way too good. And I think that if there was a style that was gonna beat him in terms of grappling, I think it was gonna be Aljamain Sterling. And we saw that even with Aljamain Sterling, a fight where he went in compromised, he was able to beat Aljamain Sterling. Now, maybe Merab maybe he's a little bit more cautious. This could be a boring fight where Merab maybe isn't that quick to engage against Sean O'Malley. Maybe let Sean O'Malley engage him and then he goes for the takedowns. That could definitely happen in this fight. But I just think Sean O'Malley has the tools and the feet to just beat someone like Merab. I think it's a perfect style for him. So I'm going to go with Sean O'Malley to win this fight, guys. And like I said, I know it's a little bit early. Like I said, I'm going to be busy in these next couple of weeks for me to really prepare to talk about this fight and some of the other fight nights that are coming up. So I'm going to try my best to post as many videos as I can, guys. I really wanted to talk about this fight. I really do feel like this fight is truly going under the radar. I think it's one of the best fights of the year. Like I said, it's my second most anticipated fight. Both of these guys are true championship material. And I just hope that this fight truly, gets the love that it deserves. I understand that right now there's a lot of criticism because Noche UFC isn't what Dana White hyped out to be, right? He said it was going to be one of the greatest cards, one of the greatest combat sports live events that's, ever happened. And maybe that's the case when we actually watch it live. But in terms of the card on paper, I mean, it's just a basic pay-per-view, if I'm being honest, you know what I'm saying? But I do feel like this is a great main event. And if it was any other pay-per-view that wasn't the Sphere, I think people would truly be excited for O'Malley versus Merab. I mean, I think this is the fight we've been waiting for. O'Malley versus Marlon Vera shouldn't have happened. Now, I understand that fight happened because Marlon Vera and Sean O'Malley, they had beef. Marlon Vera had that fluke win over him, so they decided to make that rematch. But the fight that should have happened should have been Sean O'Malley versus Merab Dvalishvili, and it's finally happening. And then the winner of this fight, I think that if O'Malley wins, I would love to see him move up and fight Topuria or fight Umar Nurmagomedov. So I think the future is bright for O'Malley. Even if Merab wins, I mean, there's some great matchups. Umar Nurmagomedov is a great matchup, but like I said, I don't see Merab winning this fight. I have to go with Sean O'Malley to win by a knockout. I'm going to say third or second round, maybe even earlier than the Aljamain Sterling fight, but I just think there's going to be a moment where maybe he walks Merab in that first round, but Merab is able to survive and then maybe hurts him again in the second round or something like that. I don't think with the first shot that Sean O'Malley hurts Merab, that Merab is going to go down. I think it's going to take a couple of those punches or kicks or knees to really hurt Merab and finish him on the ground, because Merab is very durable. I mean, we saw him get hurt by Henry Cejudo. We saw him get hurt by Marlon Moraes, and I think Sean O'Malley has more speed, has more power than some of those guys, and I ultimately think he's going to win this fight.